We're getting into the aftermath of WrestleMania 41 Night 2, specifically that main event.
Oh, yeah. The one everyone's still debating.
Exactly. John Cena beating Cody Rhodes. So we've looked at some pretty strong takes from the Busted Open podcast folks on YouTube.
Yeah, they didn't hold back.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And also an article from WrestlingHeadlines.com covering The Rock's response to, well, all the backlash.
Right.
Try to understand the reactions, the key issues, and, what this might mean for WWE going forward.
Okay. Because the reactions were definitely split, weren't they?
Totally. You had that immediate, outrage from a lot of people, just pure disappointment that Cody lost.
Mm-hmm.
So the big questions are, why? Why did this happen? What story were they trying to tell?
And what does it say about where WWE is heading, creatively?
And, of course, the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the elephant not in the room.
Mm.
The Rock. What was his deal?
Or lack thereof, yeah. Okay, so let's start with that immediate blowback. The fan reaction, the fan blame.
Okay,
Yeah.
The Busted Open guys.
Dave LaGreca from Busted Open. Oh, wow.
They were not happy.
No, that's putting it mildly. I mean, the language they used, shit way to end, embarrassment, real anger. It wasn't just, oh, that's a shame.
No, it felt visceral, like a genuine betrayal for them.
Definitely. And then they pivoted to this pretty bold argument about the fans being responsible.
Which is interesting. Can you unpack that a bit?
Well, they basically looked back at, years of people complaining about Cena, the whole PG era, his dominance.
Right. The Cena wins LOL era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward, those same people, or at least a vocal section, are cheering Cena's return. Loudly. And at the same time, maybe the reactions to Cody's title run weren't always electric, according to them anyway.
Yeah, they painted it as a bit lukewarm. Which is weird, right? Because by all accounts, WWE had maybe its best financial year ever during Cody's run.
That's the disconnect. Record profits, but then this booking decision makes you scratch your head.
So Busted Open called out the hypocrisy, cheering Cena, getting what you cheered for, and then complaining.
It's a tough pill to swallow, maybe, but you can see their point.
They even brought up Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, suggesting this is like a pattern, disruptive title changes that maybe derail momentum.
Yeah, that comparison came up. And they listed other frustrations too, right? Like the whole legends taking spots thing.
Oh, yeah. Old-timers stealing the spotlight, the lack of any real Rock involvement after Elimination Chamber.
And Travis Scott, we got to talk about Travis Scott, just random.
Completely out of nowhere. And yeah, they mentioned the vibe leaving the stadium. Apparently not many smiles, just confusion. Yeah, just confusion, not the WrestleMania feeling you want. So
Yeah.
Definitely some concerned voice there about WWE's direction.
For sure. A real sense of what are they thinking? Because there's a difference, isn't there, between leaving fans with a bad taste and generating real heat.
Explain that difference.
Well, bad taste is just, ugh, that sucked. You feel disappointed, maybe confused. Heat is when you're angry, but you have to see what happens next. You're invested in the comeuppance.
And the argument is the Mania ending was more bad taste than actual heat.
That seems to be the consensus among the critics, yeah.
Okay, let's shift a bit. Let's talk about the match itself and Cody's choices in the match. There was some debate there, too.
There was. Cole's commentary, remember? He asked point blank if Cody would end up good or bad.
Right.
And the Busted Open guys, they seem to almost want Cody to snap, to, break out of that pure good guy box.
They felt he missed opportunities.
Yeah, specifically with Travis Scott getting involved. Why didn't Cody retaliate? Why didn't he go after Cena harder when things got dirty?
It raised that whole question again. What is a good guy in wrestling today? In 2025, does it mean always taking the high road?
Apparently the Busted Open crew felt it made Cody look, well, kind of like a fool for not fighting fire with fire.
They contrasted it with older baby faces, right? Like Dusty, Hogan.
Yeah, guys who weren't afraid to bend the rules or get their hands dirty when pushed. They weren't always purely reactive.
But there's a counter-argument, isn't there? The whole Jedi way thing.
Right, the idea that Cody consciously chose not to stoop to their level, like Luke Skywalker refusing to strike down Vader in anger, maintaining his principles.
So two very different ways of looking at what makes a hero compelling.
Definitely. And underlying all that still, the Travis Scott thing. Just no build, no follow-up, just there.
Baffling. Which, honestly, kind of leads us neatly in the whole Rock situation. His involvement, or maybe his conspicuous lack of involvement at Mania itself?
Yeah, the theory that won't go away is that him jumping in back at Elimination Chamber, apparently because ticket sales were a bit soft,
Right.
just completely derailed whatever the original Mania plan was.
It makes you wonder, right? What was plan A?
You could totally see a path, couldn't you? Just Cena versus Cody, building naturally. Maybe Cena turns heel at Mania. Perhaps Randy Orton gets involved somehow.
Without The Rock casting that huge shadow over everything.
Exactly. And the feeling, at least from the critics, is that Rock's limited, kind of confusing role ended up hurting both Cody and Cena, and maybe WWE's image overall.
Yeah, it feels like it muddied the waters significantly. And it feeds into that narrative we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe fan enjoyment isn't the top priority.
Well, the Busted Open guys definitely leaned into that, suggesting it's more about the money, the merch, the social media buzz.
And they mentioned seeing a lot of Cena merch at Mania, didn't they?
They did, which, you know, adds fuel to that fire. If the goal is shifting shirts and getting clicks, maybe the Cena win makes a certain kind of business sense, even if the story feels off.
And the Cena heel turn itself, did it really land? Without The Rock there consistently as the antagonist.
That's the argument. It felt muted. Here's this legend, maybe on his way out, going for the record, but the heel turn felt overshadowed or incomplete without the expected Rock follow-up.
It just felt like a sharp left turn after Elimination Chamber. Like you started watching one movie and halfway through it turned into a different sequel.
Great analogy. Now, The Rock did give his side of the story, right, on Pat McAfee's show.
He did. Said he wanted Cena to have his moment. Step back intentionally.
Which, okay. But given the whole final boss taking Cody's soul build-up...
It felt a little convenient, maybe. Didn't quite square with the intensity before.
A lot of people felt that way. Then you had his Instagram response to Dave LaGreca from Busted Open. That was something.
Calling the business a complete work. Pretty direct.
Very direct. And inviting LaGreca to creative meetings, plus the PS about the drinks and hush puppies. Classic Rock deflection, maybe.
Could be. But what was his main point in that response? His justification?
He basically doubled down, said the final boss story was set at Elimination Chamber, and his plan was to let Cena's heel turn be the focus at Mania.
So from his perspective, it all went according to his adjusted plan.
Seems so. He talked up Cena as a heel champ, said Cody has potential as both a face and a heel.
Interesting. He sees paths for Cody still.
Yeah. And he admitted being surprised by Travis Scott showing up, but kind of shrugged it off as Scott just being a big fan.
Okay. And he felt WWE had enough time, those 6 weeks after Chamber, to build the Cena turn properly.
He said they did, yeah. And claimed he was happy with the finish, though maybe he'd have tweaked a few small creative things.
Right. So fast forward to now. Huge pressure on Raw, right?
Yeah.
To kind of fix things, or at least address the feeling from Mania.
Massive pressure.
Las Vegas, the night after WrestleMania. The buzz is still there. John Cena comes out. He's the new undisputed WWE champion.
It's the 17th time.
Yeah.
Still sounds wild.
It really does. Breaking Flair's record for world titles? I mean,
Yeah.
in wrestling history, that's enormous.
It really is. Flair's the benchmark for so many. Usually that kind of achievement gets, you know, universal respect, but
Yeah.
sounds like this went a different way.
Oh, it definitely did. Over the top.
How so?
They call Cena the greatest of all time, the never-seen 17, and get this, the last real champion.
Wow. Feels like someone's trying hard to shape the perception here.
Totally. It feels manufactured. And then Cena finally gets the mic, and any thought of, like, a humble thank you speech just evaporates.
What does he say?
He hits him with, winners write history, and then, boom, you are not worthy.
Oof. Straight out of the gate attacking the audience. That's a choice.
He mentions being bullied on Friday, presumably SmackDown, and seems to think winning the title means everyone should just forget it and forgive him.
The classic, I won, so I was right defense.
Kinda. Then he uses this really weird analogy. He asks the crowd if they treat their spouse or their kids the way they treat him.
Whoa. Okay, that's personal.
He's not just basking in the win, he's airing grievances. Decades of them, it sounds like.
And does he stop there?
Oh no. He demands an apology. Says they owe him one for hijacking Raw for years, especially around WrestleMania time.
Hijacking Raw. Wow. He's really going there. How did the crowd react to that?
They start chanting, "We aren't sorry."
Okay, good for them.
And Cena just leans into it harder. Says even if they think he's an anus, which is quite the word choice.
Yeah, just a bit.
It doesn't matter because they've called him worse for 25 years. He says he's taken their best shot and always gotten back up.
So he's basically embracing the hate, turning it into fuel. It's a complete reversal of the hustle, loyalty, respect mantra, isn't it? Years of frustration just boiling over.
Totally. But then, right in the middle of this tirade, he pivots. He reminds everyone he started the year saying he only had 36 dates left before he's gone.
Oh, right. I remember that. The limited schedule thing.
Yeah, and he emphasizes how fast time is going. Then he actually starts counting down his remaining appearances. Not matches, appearances. Says it totals 27 left.
27 appearances. Maybe less actual wrestling.
Could be. And then he makes this statement that's just incredibly bold. He says, when that hits 0, the professional wrestling timeline stops cold for him.
Stops cold. Wow.
But clarifies, like, Raw will continue. There will be a new champion eventually. But his title reign is different. Because he is.
Let me guess. The last real champion.
You got it. Then he turns his attention to Cody Rhodes.
Yes. The man he beat controversially.
Right. And he criticizes the audience for how they've treated Cody. Booing him, cheering him, then booing him again after Mania.
Pointing out the fans' inconsistency.
Exactly. He says, Cody, the guy they supposedly loved last year, now disgusts them. And he uses that to say, basically, see, this is what's wrong with you people.
So he's using their reaction to Cody to justify his own win and his own attitude. Your judgment is flawed, therefore I'm right. It's quite the manipulation tactic.
And he drives it home by saying Cody was outshined, outclassed, outwrestled, and flat out destroyed at WrestleMania.
No ambiguity there, just complete dismissal.
None. And then comes the setup. He makes this massive claim. There is no one in the WWE with the strength, the speed, the wisdom, or the ruthless aggression of John Cena.
Peak arrogance right there.
Totally. But then he softens, or pretends to, says, but unlike you, I have a heart. And he wants to do something nice. Tells everyone to get their cameras out.
Oh boy, what now?
He says, you're going to want to remember this moment. Tells them to get a great picture because the last real champ is here.
He's literally posing for photos mid-promo, basking in his own glory. That's just begging for something to happen.
And begging is what he got.
Yeah.
Because, bam.
Don't tell me.
RKO.
Yes.
Nowhere. Randy Orton.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect timing.
The commentary nailed it. Cena wanted a photo. Randy heard some voices in his head.
Classic Orton. The RKO is the ultimate move for that kind of situation. Just instant deflation of ego. Completely cuts Cena off at the knees right when he's at his most boastful.
And it immediately throws that last real champion claim into question, right? The commentators jump on it.
As they should. How can you be the untouchable final boss when you just got laid out?
Exactly. They quickly remind everyone that Orton himself, he's a 14-time world champion.
Right. He's not exactly far behind Cena in the record books. He's got the pedigree.
So Orton's attack isn't just random violence.
Another legend standing in Cena's way. And of course, there's the history.
Oh, the decades of history between Cena and Orton. One of the defining rivalries of their era.
So this RKO isn't just an attack, it's reigniting that feud, potentially setting up a huge match, challenging Cena's claim to be the ultimate champ. It's loaded with meaning. Backlash over in St. Louis, that's May 10th, 2025.
Okay, Cena and Orton.
And get this, they're specifically billing it as one last time.
One last time. Wow. Okay, that's a statement.
Right.
It suggests WWE is, really planning to frame this as the final definitive chapter in their whole rivalry.
And what a rivalry it's been. Decades, right?
Exactly. Given all their history, the championships, just how long they've both been at the top.
Yeah.
Calling it one last time, that's designed to hit fans right in the feels. It taps into that long-term investment.
No doubt. So they've been in the ring together plenty of times over the years, multi-man matches, tags, all that.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to be their first singles match in, well, quite a while, apparently.
That's what's interesting. Yeah, their last actual one-on-one match was way back on February 11th, 2017.
Oh, it's only 17.
Yeah. And get this, it wasn't even on TV. It was at a house show. A non-televised live event in New Mexico.
So it's been over 8 years since they properly faced off, just the two of them, in a singles match like this.
Pretty much. That's a really significant gap, especially for two guys who were rivals for so long at the highest level. Shows how their careers have kind of shifted.
That is a long time. And there's another layer here, too, isn't there? Backlash is in St. Louis.
Randy Orton's hometown.
Exactly. You just know that crowd is going to be absolutely insane. Adds a whole other level of drama, doesn't it?
It really does. Hometown pops are always huge, but for Orton, with this potential one last time narrative, yeah, the energy is going to be off the charts. It makes you wonder how that plays into the story they tell. Now, the Raw after WrestleMania, April 21st. That was pretty wild, too.
Always a big show. The Raw after Mania sets the tone.
Yeah. Jey Uso got congrats from Sami Zayn and his brother Jimmy, so maybe more story there. Gunther was furious, attacked Michael Cole and Pat McAfee at the commentary desk.
Gunther letting off steam.
Becky Lynch turned heel, attacked Lyra Valkyria after they lost the tag titles back to Liv and Raquel in a rematch. Alpha Academy got jumped by a returning Rusev.
Rusev's back.
Yeah, before their match. And then this was huge. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman came out, got interrupted by CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It turned into a massive brawl, and Braun Breaker ran down and joined Rollins and Heyman. A whole new alliance formed right there.
Breaker siding with Rollins and Heyman against Punk and Reigns. Okay, that is a major development. That Raw after Mania really did shake things up. New alliances, new rivalries, sets the stage for the whole next year.
Definitely. And finally, just the sheer numbers again for attendance. Night 1 was 57,037. Night 2 was 60,343.
Wow.
Combined total, 117,380 people.
Incredible numbers. Just shows the massive drawing power WrestleMania still has. It's a true global phenomenon. WWE consistently delivers that huge spectacle.
So, wrapping this up for you, the big takeaways from WrestleMania 41. Massive title changes, really shocking betrayals. Heyman's especially is going to have ripples.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of celebrity involvement woven in. And yeah, that super controversial main event finish on night 2 with Cena.
Right. And the real aha moments, I think, come when you see how it all connects. Those twists in the main events, how they use the celebrities, the sort of behind-the-scenes reasons for the timing and location.
Yeah.
It all builds the whole picture.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. Considering how that undisputed title match ended so controversially and that brand new, totally unexpected alliance that formed on Raw, what's the long-term impact going to be on the WWE landscape on Cena's supposed final run?
And what about Netflix being fully in the mix now? How does that really change things for WWE reaching its audience around the world?
Big questions, right? Definitely something to think about as we see the fallout from WrestleMania 41 continue.